Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the shop today. We'll be working on a part for the Corvette. We won't be working on the Corvette just yet because this is actually part 2 of the 2650 LS9 swap that we're going to be doing on my C6. So, as you guys saw in the previous video, we showed you the 2650 and we got that from Kong Performance. I've actually had it for just about 5 or 6 months now. So it's taken me a while to find the rest of the parts as well as save up some money for some more of the parts that we need. So what we have here are a whole bunch of parts. You got a Kong Performance box. We've got a part from DSX Tuning, so David Steck's Tuning, and some gaskets from GM. So you guys might be wondering, well, what all this stuff is. Well, this is actually going to be the top side of the blower, the cooling portion, the bricks, the lid, and the inlet, and some of the gaskets and stuff. So let's go ahead and get all this stuff opened up and we'll show you what we got. So as you guys can see, we kind of got a bunch of different parts here. We got a pair of cooling bricks. These are from CNR Racing. These are their PWR cooling bricks. We've got the inlet from DSX Tuning, and we've got a stock GM lid. You guys know that I have a blower from Kong Performance, and you guys might be wondering, well, why didn't you just go with his lid? Well, long story short, he's either on his version 2 or version 3 of his lid, and each one of his lids is like $3,000 to $4,000, give or take. So it's a lot of money for him to keep having revisions on it. And I mean, I understand continuously improving product, but you know, a lot of people are buying these bricks and not having that great performance with it. I'm not saying that any one company is better than other, because Synergy, DSX, Kong, they all basically make a billet lid. DSX basically uses a stock brick style or the CNR bricks. Synergy, I'm not sure if Synergy has their own brick, but I know that Kong uses his lid. He basically uses an Edelbrock cooling brick. You know, it's from China. It's no, you know, nothing's hidden there, but I believe it's from Edelbrock. So I'm not going to say any one brand brick or cooler is better than the other, but I've seen a lot of people just have really great performance with the stock lid and the CNR bricks in the stock lid. There's bricks, there's dividers, there's all the stuff you could buy for these things, but basically all we're going to be running for myself is the stock lid, the DSX inlet, as well as the CNR bricks. Because for me, it's kind of the best bang for the buck. I didn't have a stock lid, so I found one. That stock lid was not cheap. Unfortunately, I should have probably found this like 5 or 6 years ago, but I bought this within the last 2 or 3 years, and that was not cheap. The CNR bricks I just bought on Black Friday, so I saved about $250, give or take. And I want to say I either did the initial group buy for the LS9 inlet from DSX, or I did it for a Black Friday type deal a couple years ago. And yeah, so I haven't spent full money on any of these parts. And you will see I have a pair of inlets on there. I want to say those are from Pro Speed, like their version 1. I think that's what those are. I actually need to take those off and sell those. And the reason I'm not going to be running those is because the DSX actually saves some space. If you guys can look, the fittings will go right onto here. It's not like a 1-inch gap and then the fittings. You know, the fittings will go right here. And if I remember correctly, these actually are bigger than the fittings on here. I think there was a bigger inlet in and out of the brick, and the fittings were shorter. So yeah, so those are kind of the primary reasons there, because I'll be running a bunch of stuff up and over and up and under the blower. I've got a fuel line to run. I've got basically a line to our vacuum block for our fuel system. I got to run that. That's kind of how we ended up with this combo. And so let's go ahead and get this installed. The P&R comes with new hardware. The inlet comes with new hardware, and I have new gaskets for everything. So for the brick gaskets, I already bought those. The inlet came with new gaskets. And basically, everything tightens down to 89 inch-pounds, which I believe is about 7.5 foot-pounds. Make sure you use red Loctite, especially on the bricks. The exterior bolts, I don't know. You probably don't need red Loctite on that, just thinking out loud here. So let's go ahead and get the socket lid torn apart and put the new parts in. All right, guys, you can see I actually got one of the bricks in, but I just took some time to clean off the inside of the lid because, like I said, this is a used lid. And I've cleaned off some of the exterior on these bricks. Not that there's a lot of garbage on them, but just there's some junk that you don't want to go through the motor. So long story short is you need to put the gasket on the bottom side here. Kind of as you guys can see here, there's a kind of a string connecting the two. Basically put the gasket in, slide it in from the front and then slide the back down, and we'll get all the hardware tightened. So, I mean, there's not a lot of parts on this intercooler lid. It's just the 2 bricks, the gaskets, and then the inlet. And that's pretty much gonna be about it. And so yeah, like I was saying, you want to stick the inlets in first, get that in there, and then kind of press down on the back. And this should slide down inside the blower. There you go. We got the front hardware to pop off. The back hardware is now loose. All right, guys, as you can see, I have the passenger side of the intercooler lid basically done. I got the brake installed, the gaskets, and the hardware. It's all been red Loctited and torqued to 7.5 foot-pounds. And yeah, so we've got that side done. I got to do the driver's side. All right, so we got both brakes torqued down. Everything's torqued down to that just about 7.5 foot-pounds. Everything's got red Loctite on it. Now it's actually time to put the coolant manifold inlet on the front. And like I said, this is another billet piece from DSX. And basically what we're going to do is put a little bit of assembly lube on here, and we're just going to lubricate the O-rings. Not a ton, just a little bit, because like I said, you don't want to tear an O-ring going into the cooler brick. And, you know, basically you could potentially lead to having a leak, you know, inside the motor, and then the coolant goes directly from the brick around a toward seal and into the top end of the motor. So, all right, guys, I actually just had a bit of a brain fart. I was putting together the lid and putting the front inlet on, and it wasn't tightening down. I was like, why am I having so much issue with that? Then I remembered back to the LSA swap that we did on the SS behind us. You need to put the inlet in first, you know, the cooling manifold, then tighten down the bricks. So I busted all these 8 bolts loose. I put the inlet on, and I tightened it down to 7.5 foot-pounds like it calls for, and then I torqued I retightened all the bolts for the cooler bricks, tightened those down, and then I retorqued everything to 7.5 foot-pounds. So yeah, so a little bit of a brain fart there, but I'm kind of glad I remember, like, I'm like, this should slide in without issue. And then, like I said, kind of a throwback to the SS behind us. And yeah, so you got to put the cooler brick in, then, you know, get that pulled in tight, and then tighten down the bricks, because that's kind of the secret there. I totally forgot about that. So that is actually going to be it for the LS9 lid. You guys see the PWR bricks, you see the DSX cooler up front, and that's all machined aluminum. And basically what we got to worry about now are sensors. So unfortunately, you guys know that I have the E40 ECM, which is like the devil of the C6 Corvette computers, because nothing's plug and play. There's no Pro EFI, there's no Holley. You know, besides people making 2005 like race cars, I still have to plug in for emissions and stuff on mine. So unfortunately, I can't go full standalone on this thing. I still have to have the stock computer. So we kind of are going to make a couple changes between the eForce 2300 on there and the Kong 2650. So the sensors that we're talking about specifically are going to be the IAT sensor on the supercharger itself, as well as the map sensor. So you guys can see we have a traditional map sensor, and you guys will also see that I've got this little baggie here saying LS2 to LS9 map sensor adapter. Basically, long story short, the LS9 map sensor is incompatible with the E40 ECM, as I just mentioned. So basically, I had to go out and get a custom map sensor made, and I forgot the company name. I'll include it down below. But basically what he did was he takes a standard, you know, 1 bar map sensor and basically turns it into either a 2.5 bar map sensor. So we've got a stock LS1, LS2 style map sensor that we're going to plug in, but that will not plug into a, you know, LS3 manifold, or in this case, an LS9 manifold. I had to go in and get this adapter. I got this adapter from Superchargers Online. I believe it's from Magnuson. I could be wrong about that. I'll have all that information down below, but basically, like I was saying, so this is just a little plug, if you want to call that, that will allow us to put the smaller LS1, LS2 style map sensor inside the LS9 lid. And you guys will also notice that I got a new IAT sensor, and this is from Rife Sensors, you know, our guys over at Motion Raceworks. Part number is 521248. And basically all this is going to do is give us more high accurate information for the IAT temps. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get these installed and we'll show you kind of where all this stuff goes. All right, so this driver's side map sensor, this hole goes actually into the manifold. So there's actually another map sensor over on the passenger side, but this sensor, like I said, goes into the manifold. And if you guys try to put the standard plug in here, you guys see it doesn't fit for squat. And that sounds a little weird, but it doesn't fit at all. So we're going to use this little sleeve. We're going to put it inside the hole here, and then we're going to use this bracket. I believe this bracket allows us to use this bolt, and it should allow us to slide, to basically tighten the map sensor against the intake lid. All right, guys, we got the custom map sensor installed using the bracket as well as a bolt that I found. It's just a cap screw that I found. It's the right thread and depth for the sensor. So that's in there just fine. And I also have the Rife IAT sensor over here on the passenger side. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be a wrap on the lid, the cooler bricks, the inlet, and all the sensors for it. All right, guys, so that's pretty much going to be it for the Corvette update today, especially with this 2650 swap. We got a lot of parts kind of started. Basically, what we're going to do next is we're going to have to remove the stock supercharger, go get that sold off, and we should be able to get started on the rest of the swap. Didn't really run into any issues today. Just wanted to make sure you guys know to push the coolant manifold in first, tighten that down, then tighten your brakes down. That's kind of a lesson learned, but you know, like I said, we just went over that. And yeah, so that's pretty much gonna be about it. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and I did want to say, with that custom map sensor that we had made, I won't have to run any adapters, because basically what's going on the 2300 setup we have now, the map sensor is actually running off the Edelbrock harness. So Edelbrock has their own adapter, and it's actually a Mustang sensor. It's a Mustang Cobra sensor. That's kind of why we had to go with that custom sensor, because you can't use that Mustang sensor on an LS9 lid or anything like that. So like I said, and we can't use the LS9 map sensor because of that stupid, the E40 ECM basically doesn't have enough capacity for what the signals that the LS9 sensor will send out. So like I said, we had to go down to that custom 2.5 bar map sensor. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more updates on this 2650, the LS9 swap, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. And if you guys want to help support the channel, I'll try to drop you some links for the parts that we use down below. I'm not sure what we'll be able to find. The GM gaskets for sure, some of the tools that we used, and if I can't find it, I'll give you part numbers for all the sensors. That website where we got the custom map sensor and all that. Oh, and make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any contribution that you guys make on there go right back into the channel and help, afford us to do some of the projects like this 2650 swap. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.